Blood spatter analysis is considered to be junk science by those governing bodies. So that's two people that present.
She's right. It comes to a subjective conclusion, but a lot of people consider it to be junk science. Absolutely. Blood spatter can tell a story in the crime scene. So if blood spatter is junk science, then the 85J and the analysis done on that would be junk science, right? Fingerprint. Let's see what she's got to say.
Presented themselves as experts in something that were, in fact, not experts in something.
Oh, Tom Bevel is the leading expert on blood spatter analysis. He is.
Another one in regards to Darlie's case would have been the nurses and the trauma surgeon claiming to be experts in bruising.
Well, if they've seen it over and over and over again, as compared to myself, they would be an expert in that field.
Typically speaking, trauma surgeons see you the day the trauma happens and a couple days after, or however long you're in the hospital. They're much bigger issues at hand than dating bruises. And
no, there's not much bigger issues at hand than dating bruises when you have a crime scene.
And managing bruises, because typically bruises resolve on their own unless you have a really deep hematoma. But they, in fact, did date her bruises wrong.
4 days.
And it has thus been proven that she did, in fact, have those bruises in the hospital. You can see it in the color changes in the photos.
If you're looking at media tried justice denied, you might be able to, but none of the nurses saw them and the doctors didn't see them either. So, and that's what counts.
Her elbow in the hospital photo, you can see that bruise is already starting to develop.
Let's take a look.
Crime scene. They have taken some physical evidence from the home, but also admit
it's David Neighbors.
Many questions as answers.
It's like something we watch on the news. We never thought one day it'd hit us.
It's scary to think that I don't think they have any suspects yet.
The first thing you look at are who are logical suspects. In the death and injury of children, particularly in their own home, it tends to be one of the parents.
I think it's fair to say at the very beginning everyone was potential suspects. But Darren, his version of events that he had been upstairs with the baby appeared to be accurate. And secondly, she had never told anyone, including the police, that he had been the assailant.
Routiers insisted that an unknown intruder attacked her and the children and got away.
Darlie's initial statement doesn't have a lot of detail. Somebody harming my children, somebody harming me.
When the police were there, they saw a cut screen in the garage.
Local news footage that comes out.
About a week after the murders, on June 14th, the Routiers hold a birthday party at the cemetery for Devin, who would have turned 7 that day. And a local television station went out and caught it.
That's Danelle right there. That's Beja. It's got Drake.
And I said, Darlie, Devin always had the most wonderful birthday parties.
That's Halina.
And I know that he's in heaven.
There's Danelle.
I said, let's just, for one day, try and get through it without crying a lot.
Now, I'm looking for the bruises on her arms. I'm going to get rid of this.
We had a graveside.
There's Halina.
Prayer service, and then later had kind of a birthday party because Devin's birthday invitations had already gone out. Some of the neighborhood kids came.
There's Beja attending to Drake the whole time.
Happy birthday.
I'm looking for the bruises on her arms. She got her little cross right there.
They sprayed.
That's what I'm looking for right here.
Silly string, which
and you can still see it pretty well.
Took maybe 20 seconds. They sang happy birthday, and you hear Darlie and Darren both saying,
Love you, Devin.
Yeah, you can still see the bruising pretty good on her arm here.
You know, just like they're still there.
Why the confetti? Why the balloons?
Yeah, it's still there pretty strongly. And look how enhanced this is. For the last defense, they pixelated this so you can see the scratch that she claimed was on her face. In other areas, you can't see this. As detailed. See how, like, all along her nose, how detailed it is? It's showing every freckle.
No, we're sad because Devin and Damon.
But there is a little scratch on her chin right there.
On here. We try to hang on to what we can to get us through these times.
And I recall how shocked I was at the sight of that. And I wasn't the only one who was shocked. Lead prosecutor Greg Davis was shocked as well.
I was really taken aback by her demeanor. I tell you, as a parent, I found it disgusting.
Yeah, what's so funny?
She was smiling and chewing gum, spraying this silly string around, and just as a mother, I thought, that's just not appropriate. I mean, what's going on?
So a couple of days after the birthday party, we get a phone call. We need y'all to come up to the station. We hopped in the car, we ran up there, and we were excited that they were getting close to catching who did this.
I said, don't you think you should have an attorney? And they both said, innocent people do not need attorneys.
They told us that they had to...
That's her last seconds of freedom right there. Because she didn't come out after that.
Find out everything, that it could be anybody, that they had to check all aspects. And so they needed to know.
Well, I was looking for the bruising there, but let's go back to Danelle.
And also somebody pointed out that in the silly string video, which was 8 days after the crime, her bruising is already mostly healed.
And it wasn't mostly healed. You can see it if you look yourself. You have to keep slowing it down. It was still very visible. Very visible.
And it was significantly healed. She did still have some bruising remaining, but that was 8 days later. So I would expect for it to be significantly less.
The doctors did not feel like those bruises were caused by any event that occurred on 6/6/96.
In appearance. So there's that. There's 3 incidents, or I guess categories, that you could look at for people that present themselves as something that they're not.
And why does the state let them get up there on the stand, Danelle? Come on.
And in the state of Texas, that was okay, because per the Texas standard in 1996, if you have more knowledge than the general public, you could then be considered an expert witness. So what could you be an expert witness in? I could be an expert witness in giving birth. Because
No, you can't, because other people have done it, and there's other people that have done it more.
I'm a labor and delivery nurse. I could be an expert in anything related to health, because I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I could be an expert in rescuing dogs, because we as a family have rescued and placed probably 25 dogs or more. I could be
You could, yeah.
an expert in TikTok.
But could you be an expert in telling the truth about Darlie's case?
I believe that. I'm definitely not an expert in TikTok, but because I use TikTok and I may know it more than the general public, I could be an expert in that. That just blows my mind, because I'm not an expert in that.
Well, you would also have to say what your background is. Tom Bevel also had, tons of education behind himself. You can't just get up on a stand and say you're expert like Sully does. You have to have some kind of background. Your friend Sully says she was a criminal expert, and she served as an expert witness in a crime case. And have her tell you about that case. Talk about people presenting themselves as what they're not.
Just because I know something and I use something doesn't make me an expert in it. That blood spatter analysis is...
Well, yeah. It just depends. They also go on the background,